This is the ARCA Menards Series General Tire 100. The ARCA Menards Series, all of the teams are ready.
Long day, have fun. Let's go winners.
Green flag is in the air.
This is a great opportunity for these guys to showcase their talent.
It's so much more intense than I anticipated.
We have trouble. Hard contact. We got a big crash. This is a big one. I think we're going to see them in victory lane many more times. We are ready to go racing. I love seeing it. It gets us fired up for some racing. And how about that? Just absolutely beautiful weather. Cannot wait to go racing. And we're so happy you're joining us on this Friday evening. I'm Jamie Little. He's Phil Parsons. That's Trevor Bain. And what a field we have for you tonight. It's the second and final time this year we'll go left and right. We're going road course racing, and we haven't seen a field this competitive, Phil, I would say since earlier in the season in Talladega.
Yeah, I would agree. Most of the talk this year has been about Williams Zilisch and Connor Zilisch. Well, they're going to have a lot of competition here. They're going to have Brandon Jones, a former winner here in the ARCA Menards Series at Watkins Glen. He's a full-time regular in the Xfinity Series, multi-time winner in that series. Also, Connor Mozak is in the field. Connor Mozak is a winner in the ARCA Series. He won here at this racetrack in a Trans Am TA2 car, so he's going to be extremely strong. He was leading the race at Mid-Ohio early this year till he had an issue. But not only do we have these guys, but we have also the guys that have won the races this year. Several of them. Williams Zilisch, 7 wins, an amazing season. Look at the different kind of racetrack he's won on. Road course at Mid-Ohio, short tracks, dirt course, and dirt track, and then Connor Zilisch. Connor Zilisch, 4 wins. He was 4 for 4 until he came up to Milwaukee and he got beat by Williams Zilisch. And then we've got Connor Mozak. We just talked about Connor. He won for the second time at Kansas on the mile-and-a-half. And Jake Finch led every single lap in the race at Talladega. So a strong field of road racers as well as winners from this year.
Yeah, 29 drivers in the field. Now, these drivers have to be heads up. There are a couple of changes to this racetrack for this season.
Yeah, Watkins Glen has been evolving over time with safety in mind, right? The runoff in turn 1 is one area that they've looked at for years. Since Jimmy Johnson ran out of brakes and sailed it into the tire barrier, they continually adapt that area. And we know that NASCAR drivers look for any pavement to run on. And NASCAR knows that, and that gets them out by that runoff wall. So they've added rumble strips here on the exit of turn 1. You see that area highlighted. Big interstate rumble strips. Think about those and what that does to the car to limit drivers from using all of that. And then we're going to look at the bus stop next, because NASCAR used mouthpiece data from Kyle Larson last year and saw that when he ran over this yellow and red curbing, it was jarring to the drivers. So many G-forces coming vertically through those cars that they decided to change this curb, and you'll see an image here next of what it looks like now. It's much smoother, much flatter, so the cars can carry speed. They're still going to run over that curb, but it's not going to upset the car quite as bad as the old one did. So a little bit higher speeds coming into that bus stop, but not near as jarring to the drivers.
Yeah, glad to see those changes, no doubt. Safety in mind. Well, let's say hello to our 2 pit reporters covering all the action tonight. We have Heather DeBow, of course, and Mamba Smith. Mr. Mamba, good evening, my friend.
How we doing, everybody? I am standing next to William Zilisch. William, you're starting outside pole. We talked about it. You wanted to be first or second, so mission 1 accomplished. What's mission number 2 today?
Yeah, mission number 2, definitely pull off the win. That'd be the best thing possible. We've got a really fast Starkey Sound Gear Toyota Camry today. Our long run speed is probably our best quality today. Short run speed, we just need a little bit, but definitely long run speed I'm happy with.
Now, we were just watching the video and Trevor talking about the bus stop and how cool of a shot is that. So how close are you actually getting to that bus stop wall?
Yeah, I mean, definitely as close as you can get, because you just want to make that super straight and get all that speed you can through there. That's definitely a lot of time and one of my main focuses today.
Good luck, William.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move down here. I see the champ, Andreas Perez, getting a little interview with Steve Post. We're going to try and come back to him. And Gio Ruggiero in the house. What's up, brother? How are we doing today?
Good, how are you?
So you had a little issue at the end of practice, the steering box, but the crew worked really quickly and got that thing back together for you.
Yeah, they busted their butts on the car, and I think in like 10 minutes they got the steering box changed and went back out there for qualifying and qualified 5th.
So we talked about it earlier. You don't have a ton of road course experience, but you're really enjoying Watkins Glen. What makes this place so fun?
It's just a super technical, kind of super speedway-like road course. It's kind of forgiving as well, and I'm having a great time.
All right, man. Good luck today.
Thank you.
All right, I see him. We got the points leader, Andreas Perez. Andreas, we talked about it during practice. You feel like you're really comfortable with your point situation and you're ready to let it out, but you guys have to go to the back of the pack because you broke a track bar. Does that change your strategy at all for today?
It does a little bit. I think starting from the back, we just got to be patient and see how the race unfolds. I think we got a really fast car. Just got to be patient to get to the front and see what we can do there at the end.
All right, good luck, my friend. Heather DeBow.
And here now with Connor Zilisch, who last year this race was the one that got away. I know you're looking for redemption. Do you think you can get it done today?
Yeah, I do. We've got a really fast car again. This Pinnacle Racing Group team has excelled on road courses this year, not only with me, but Connor Mozak as well. So I'm looking forward to getting out there. We had a fast lap in qualifying to put us on the pole, and got to execute from here and get the job done.
And hey, I like your hat. New Red Bull athlete in the house right here.
Yeah, it's super cool. Got my wings and looking forward to sporting these colors for the next few years. Got a really cool helmet over there, and looking forward to my first race with it. Hopefully we can get a win.
Well, good luck today. We're going to make our way up pit road just a little bit. We're going to catch up with a guy that we normally see in the Xfinity Series, but he's going to run an ARCA race today. So we got Brandon Jones. He has 8 wins in the ARCA Series, but you're here at Watkins Glen again. You won here in 2022. How do you feel about your race car today?
Yeah, we've got Lions Industry on the race car this weekend, and looking forward to this event because there's been a lot of changes to Watkins Glen, as we all know. That's what we've been talking about, is all the runoffs have been changed. You know, there's some reconfiguration on some areas. So I really wanted to come here this weekend and be able just to get a first-hand look at it. You know, I'm kind of like what I'm calling a recon lap for this weekend. So going to get a good look at it and see how it races. My first initial impressions after practice was it's going to be very similar to how it was in the past. The bus stop seems a lot more intense now. You can carry a lot more speed through there, so keep an eye on that area. I think you're going to see some more action than you typically would in the past, and hoping for even better racing. It's always fun to come to Watkins Glen, but looking forward to a really competitive one this afternoon.
Well, a lot of good insight there from Brandon Jones. Jamie, it's going to be a fun one to watch here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's always nice to have Brandon Jones in the field, always smile on his face, and he's always really competitive. Hasn't been in the field since 22 for the National Series. Of course, he ran a couple of West races, but speaking of a man who's racing different series, oh my goodness, Connor Zilisch, what a year it's been for him. I don't think there's anything he doesn't race at this point, guys.
You could see he went to COTA first time ever in a truck, set on the pole with a new track record and finished in the top 5.
7 different series to be exact, over 40 races this year, and his win percentage already on the season, pretty high, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about it before the race here with 4 wins this season already in the ARCA Series, a 2nd place at Milwaukee. I know that fired him up because he's not used to watching somebody else in victory lane.
Yeah, we talk about William Sawalich and Connor Zilisch, and this is head-to-head in the National Series since that initial race for Zilisch last year at Watkins Glen. You can see he got the better of Sawalich there, but then the next 3 all wins for Zilisch. And the reason Sawalich had such a bad finish at Dover because he had contact from Zilisch and ended up wrecking. Unintentional contact, but you see Sawalich was 2nd to him at Iowa, 3rd at IRP, and then he turned the tables on him and dominated that race at Milwaukee to go to victory lane.
Unbelievable for Zilisch. Almost won this in his debut last year. Well, we're just getting things started here. It's absolutely gorgeous in central New York. 100 miles of racing. It's coming up next from Watkins Glen.
Fast track, there's nobody on a faster track than this young man.
Well, and he has such experience in road racing. We talked about his experience there. So to make your debut in the Truck Series at COTA, make your debut at Watkins Glen for Junior Motorsports, that's a great opportunity for him.
He's handling all the pressure, all the things, all the accolades so well. Well, he's ready. So are the 28 other drivers. Let's go trackside now to fire those engines.
Watkins Glen International, this is the moment you have been waiting for. Please welcome, on behalf of the General Tire team, Crew Parmenter.
Driver, start your engines!
Well, I think that was the award for cutest command to fire engines. ARCA Racing from Watkins Glen is coming up next. Welcome back to the ARCA Menards series. As drivers roll off pit road, earlier today they had a 1-hour practice session. They backed that up with a qualifying session. And it has just been a perfect day for racing action. At the end of this qualifying session, it was all about that man right there, the 28. 18-year-old Connor Zilisch. I know we talked a lot about him, but imagine this. First time he's got the pole in his young ARCA Menards Series career, so starting first tonight.
Yeah, how about that? 0.7 of a second clear of second place William Sawalich. Dominating qualifying effort for Zilisch.
Wants to get that redemption. Came up one spot short last year. Starting outside the front row, William Sawalich, as we take a look at the rest of the General Tire starting grid.
Strong front row here. 11 wins this year between them in the ARCA National Series.
But Thomas Annunziata in road 2 there. Had a really strong run at Mid-Ohio, led some laps, finished 4th. He's looking for another strong road course race.
And he's a former winner in the Trans Am Series as well. There's Brandon Jones. We talked about him winning here a couple years ago.
Connor Mozak, watch him. He's a road course ace. Almost won it at Mid-Ohio until an issue, a restart violation, sent him to the back.
How about Marco Andretti? 3 top 5 finishes here in IndyCar. They probably run the entire course, so they run the boot. Well, we just run the short course.
It'll be a little different for him tonight.
It will be.
Talladega's winner Jake Finch back there in row 7. Tony Breidinger.
Welcome back, the pizza man, Andy Jankowiak.
Yeah, Andy had a top 10 here. There's the second Quarterly in the race. This is Alex Quarterly, son of Dale Quarterly. Tim Richmond makes another start here in the 27 car.
Cody Dennison, Ed Pampa.
It's Brayton Laster.
Michael Maples had a little get off the course in practice earlier, but no harm, no foul. As far as we know, everything is good.
Longtime competitor Brad Smith back in row number 14. Amber Balkan had a transmission issue, was not able to qualify.
And Rob Pelosi rounds out the field. So it seems like there's more issues for Amber Balkan.
Looks like she's turning to go behind the wall
yeah,
here.
I didn't like the way she turned the wheel there.
This isn't what you want to see. She's a full-time competitor in the series. Had a rough start to the day. And remember, everything is compacted. One-day events for these teams.
Yeah, 6 points coming into this race.
Well, this is not very characteristic of entering in motorsports. They've been around the series for a long time, but at road courses, transmissions, track bars, sway bars, we see all these parts failures because it is so rough on the vehicles.
Well, we have 2 onboards tonight, bringing us all the action, and I think this is the first time I've ever seen this. Both onboards on the front row.
Yeah, why not? We'll just ride along with William Sawalich, again, a 7-time winner here. Won earlier this year at Mid-Ohio on the road course. Strong competitor. Looking forward to watching him go toe-to-toe here with Zilisch.
The other on board, I think we're trying to see how many times we can say these 2 names. We got Connor Zilisch again with the Suchi Fast Track on board, and we haven't even taken the green flag yet, and we expect these 2 guys to be battling for the lead. So you'll just keep a tally mark for us somewhere. We'll keep a hit list of how many times we can mention them today.
Let's get more stories from pit road. Heather.
And Jamie, don't count out that 44 of Thomas Annunziata. Even though this is only his 4th start in the ARCA series, he does have experience here at Watkins Glen in the Trans Am TA2 series and the MX5 cars. I asked him what his expectation was for today. He said, my expectation is to win. If we're fast as I think we are, we're going to run in the top 5 all day and be there to pick them off at the end. Mamba Smith?
LeVar Scott starting in the 9th position, has limited road course experience. I was talking to LeVar before practice, and he was really excited after his Mid-Ohio race. He said, I've really learned what I need to do. I just need to not overdrive and put everything together that me and Danny have been working on. He's looking forward to a really good run here at Watkins Glen. Jamie?
Certainly looking forward to this one, Mamba. Love going road course racing. We don't do it a whole lot, but there's just so many more variables. You mentioned it, Trevor, the issues on these cars. They're so hard on the equipment. Connor Zilisch, he almost won the race last year. He had a sway bar issue, so we'll keep our eye on that all evening.
Yeah, we had just about counted him out last year, Trevor and I, when he broke that sway bar, but he just kept leading the race and leading till the very end there.
Yeah, and had a shot still to win, had a 3.5-second lead. Late race, caution comes out. Rain came out. They ended the race on rain tires. Another driver in the field we didn't mention that's running tonight is Chris Wright. He was in the mix, started on the front row on dry tires in the wet and had a shot to win. So a lot happened at the end last year, so you can't count any of these guys out or any situation that might happen throughout this race.
Well, you notice the curbs look a little bit different That's because the Cup Series is in the playoffs, so they did a little something extra. How about this? Bob Pockris, of course, he's all over it. Team of 9 painters, 80 hours of work, 750 gallons of paint. My question is, do they have to come out tonight and touch it up for tomorrow's race for the Xfinity?
You're doing some renovations, right? I bet they can paint your house pretty quick, Jamie. You might need to see if they're for hire.
Paint is not cheap, let me tell you. But what a job. They did a tremendous job. It looks special. You know this is a special weekend. And the campgrounds are just packed. It's a perfect evening to grill out. I know there's got to be a lot of butterflies when these two can go head to head. We talk so much about them, build them up so much. They go tit for tat this season.
But deservedly so. They deserve every accolade we can bestow upon them.
Here we go. Pace car is off. Connor Zilisch on the pole. William Sawalich outside pole. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing at Watkins Glen. Get through the gears, down the hill, into turn 1, 3, 4 wide back there in the pack. So far, so clean, gentlemen.
Beating and banging back there in 4th place by Gio Ruggiero.
Contact back there with Marco Andretti.
A lot of these drivers have been on track during practice by themselves. Now they're going into the bus stop braking zone behind someone. Do they have a good marker to hit those brakes?
See Brandon Jones lined up 3rd there right behind Sawalich in that black and white car.
Connor did exactly what he needed to do on that start. It was very clean.
Watch the contact between Marco Andretti and LeVar Scott.
Off in the grass.
Yeah, nice save by LeVar in that 6 car.
There's a lot of discretion used by the drivers here. Hard for spotters to see every corner and every angle, so you have to have a lot of awareness of who's around you and how far they are away.
That's Connor Mozak, the red and white, number 23. That is the same car and team that won the ARCA West race out at Sonoma with Sam Mayer.
Connor Zilisch leads. William Sawalich, Brandon Jones, Gio Ruggiero, Thomas Annunziata, your top 5. Now our point leader, Andres Perez, didn't really touch on it. He had an issue, had to go to the back of the pack, so he's going to have his work cut out for him on this road course.
Yeah, he had to repair a rear sway bar, another one of those things that we talk about on a road course that can cause you issues. That happened to him qualifying, so he had to go back to the back of the pack.
Well, Zilisch can now say that he has led a lap in all 7 of his ARCA Menards Series starts.
He just wants to lead the last one today.
That's right. The only one, practically.
He led most of them last year.
He led most of them, 34 to be exact. We have 41 laps today.
You see the drivers tracking out. We talked about those rumble strips off of the carousel, and they're not scared of them right now. Must not be upsetting the car too bad. There is about a car width off that strip that you see painted that you can use, but they're using more than that at times.
Good battle right here. That's Gio Ruggiero on the 20 and Thomas Annunziata on the 44. Thomas started his ARCA career at Daytona this year with a runner-up finish.
This is just the 4th time that Thomas Annunziata in that 44 has been in the field, and what a showing he had at Mid-Ohio. Top 5 there, finished 4th. Marco Andretti was another one, finished top 5 at Mid-Ohio. So curious to see how he'd run here. We talked about his IndyCar experience at this track, has a few top 5 finishes.
You can see left side of your screen, our pylon, Marco right now running in the 9th spot in between Connor Mozak and Dylan Lupton.
Well, also on that pylon, you see Connor Zilisch in 3 laps, 2-second lead. He was a second faster than 2nd place last time, so he's going to get himself into a situation where he can start taking care of those brakes, backing up corners, which just makes that car last longer on the long run.
You see there at 12th, I have to point it out, Dale Quarterly, 63 years old. This man just knows how to get around on a road course. So impressive at Mid-Ohio, but barely even started the race and he blew up there, so wanted to get back here, show what he can do, but running 12th, very respectable.
Yeah, he had a top 5 finish last year in the ARCA race.
Andres Perez peeking out a line here. Gets the wave by. You'll see that sometimes early in an ARCA Menards race, maybe not at the end.
It's Andy Jankowiak in the 73, the guy we always have fun with, whether it's him trying to talk to us on camera in the car or eating a banana or just delivering pizzas to pay his bills for racing.
He's got the 55 of Jake Finch behind him. Andres took a peek to the inside of Dale Quarterly. Thought better of it.
This is for the 12th spot. Andres Perez came into this race the 49-point advantage over his teammate LeVar Scott. Just 4 races remaining in the season.
Well, and already up 13 spots in these 3 laps, really moving forward. Car looks great. You see the pressure he's putting on Quarterly now. He's going to look to the inside here in the bus stop. Not able to make the move, but he's got Dale looking in the rearview mirror, if nothing else.
Yeah, Dale's very much an accomplished road racer. He's won a couple times in the old Menards Series East at Lime Rock, Connecticut. He also won a modified race at Lime Rock, Connecticut on the road course.
Andres says, I'm just going to go by you on the outside through the carousel.
Well, that'll work too.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't know anybody's ever made that pass there.
And he does it. Picks up a spot there.
Tries to get another one.
That's the 29 of Ryan Gimmel. That's a great story. Young man that started out as an intern at Nemco Motorsports, and here he is racing for Nemco Motorsports.
It's pretty cool, the history though of Nemco. I mean, we haven't talked about them in a while at this level, but they've got an Xfinity win and a Truck Series win here at Watkins Glen. It was way back '99.
They won 4 times.
Oh, we got one going around.
One around.
Dylan Lupton goes around. Looked like maybe a little bit of help from the 17 of Marco. Going to stay green.
Dylan Lupton was running 9th at the time of that contact. Let's see what happened here to Dylan Lupton.
Yeah, late pull out of line by Marco. Dylan turns down into the corner and gets into the left front of the 17.
Nice move by Andres Perez to avoid that. Watch him. You see him lock the brakes up for a moment.
Yeah, and the banking just falls away there in turn 1. The right front tire gets really light, so if you have to apply more brake pressure, if somebody's coming across your nose, there's nothing really you can do. Once the tires lock up, you're going to take them out. We've seen that many times here in the Cup Series as well. Dylan
Lupton making just his 3rd ARCA Menards Series start. I think he likes to come visit us about every 4 years. 2016, 2020, 2024. We're working lap number 7. Connor Zilisch continues to lead here at Watkins Glen. ARCA Menards Series Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And we welcome you back to Watkins Glen, New York. It's a beautiful evening here as Connor Zilisch is having a beautiful evening so far. 8.5-second lead. Are you kidding me? Working lap number 8 here.
Well, pretty much whole day. I mean, fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, and then just driving away from the entire field.
When we ride on board, we're watching how much they're shifting. Trevor, give us an idea how often each lap.
Yeah, there are some sections you can short shift or leave it in different gears, but roughly 12 times a lap you're going to see these drivers shifting. These are a 4-speed H pattern, unlike our Cup cars that are sequential, so a lot more deliberate shifting and a lot more opportunity to miss a shift. When you go from 3rd gear to 4th gear down this straightaway, you'll see here it's so easy to go pull it towards you and go to 2nd gear. So we see that happen a lot, especially in these lower series where they don't have a lot of experience with that. You see through the bus stop here, drivers talked about higher speed. You see the violence of the old curbing versus the new curb on entry. And then this is that carousel we talked about before the race. Short track, turn right.
Reminds me of old turn number 9 at Riverside, way back in the day.
I think NASCAR had the mindset that those rumble strips were going to deter drivers more than they are. I mean, these ARCA cars are having no problem tracking out right over those strips without losing any grip or time. So I just think they thought it would keep the drivers in, but it doesn't seem to be doing the trick right now.
Solid day for William Sawallisch. Just no match right now for Connor Zilisch. He's opened up. Sawallisch is about a 5-second gap over Brandon Jones now, running in the 3rd spot.
So 10 laps in, 41 laps will complete this race. We'll have a break at or around lap 21. where they can bring it down pit road, make adjustments, change tires, add fuel. They'll have 5 minutes on the clock.
There's Brandon Jones running third right there in the 42 car.
You know, our top 5 cars outside of Connor Zilisch are really overlaying very similar lap times within a 2 to 3/10 gap every lap. And you've got the 28 car out on an island, but for all these other drivers, you know, you're kind of fighting for second right now, and then you hope that it comes down to a late race restart or something happens like last year where there's some attrition or parts failures on that 28 at this point, because he is in the class of his own.
You know, we talk about his crew chief Shane Huffman and the great changes he makes at the halftime break. What do you think he can change on that car at this halftime break? I wouldn't even go near it if I was him.
Yeah, probably not. But it's funny watching Connor trying to pace his race. He knows he has a huge gap, and we'll see him slow down, and he'll run like a 76-50 lap time to try to back up to the cars behind him. And then the next lap he picks up a second, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to ride anymore, Shane. I think I'm just going to go ahead and go."
That's exactly what he did just now. His last lap was over a second faster than the previous lap.
Looking at the 20 car, Gio Ruggiero. This is the team, the car that won last year. At the very end, by the way, 1 corner to go, and Jesse Love did his thing, picked up the win. But Gio's been really impressive. He hasn't been racing a whole long time. You know, he doesn't have a lot of racing under his belt. 19 years old. Every time he gets in there, second, third, fifth, ninth in his last race. That's been his season. When he jumps in, I mean, he fires off those top 5s. He's just knocking on the door.
Yeah, I know, talking to team owner Billy Venturini, I know he's always very complimentary of Gio and the job he does in this car, and always look forward to the opportunities that Gio gets to run one of these Venturini cars.
And Toyota's starting to see the value, obviously. They've seen it for a while, actually, of road course racing, and they have a program that they put a lot of their development drivers through. If you go over to the Toyota Performance Center, you'll see downstairs they have a ton of road racing cars. They have their own series, actually. So Gio Ruggiero and a lot of their young drivers are getting exposure to more road racing than they ever would have 10 years ago. So it's a great thing for these young drivers to be on tracks like Watkins Glen in these cars as well.
The GR Cup, that's what Tony Breidinger ran last year just to get more experience, and then she came back here to the ARCA Menards series full time.
That's right. See a couple donuts on the door of that 20 car already from that early restart where things were physical. Now things are spread out more though. So if you're a crew chief, you're telling your driver to just feel things out, get in a rhythm, see where you can push the car, see what you need. You talked about that stage break with Shane Huffman making good adjustments. That's what all these other teams hope to do. You have clean air, so everybody's in a level playing field, and this is when you really want to dissect what you need as a driver to go and catch that next guy in front of you. Maybe you're not shooting to catch Connor Zilisch, that's a second faster in the field, but it's, hey, what do you need to be running top 3 or top 5? How can I help your car just a little bit to get you that next few spots?
Yeah, as you mentioned, if we take Zilisch out of the equation, there's a lot of cars running very similar speeds, so a slight adjustment to make your car better could mean several positions at the end of the race.
Just looking at the top 10 now, Andres Perez continues on the move, started in the back up 18 positions. Now in the top 10 for the 2 car, he's flying. That's his teammate LeVar Scott that just went around, and there he is, 2 more cars till he gets to his teammate, but doing nice work out there, probably working harder than anybody at this rate.
Well, and to your point, now that he's in clean air, he's running top 2 lap times. He's just as fast as William Sawalich, that 18. You see the 23 car here of Connor Mozak as well. What's going on with that car? I see the front end shaking a lot there, Heather.
Well, Connor Mozak reporting on his car, the handling is just too loose. Rear grip is what he needs, especially on entry. He also reported a few laps ago that the brake pedal was soft. He said it's gotten a little better and it's coming to him. But those are kind of the handling issues of the 23 for Connor Mozak. But he said he's excited to be here at Watkins Glen, but this is a different car that he's in. Usually we see him in the 28 of Connor Zilisch. Today he's in the 23. So he's also working with that new crew chief of Blake Bainbridge. This is the first time they work together. So they're working out the kinks not only on handling, but also communication. Mamba?
26th to 8th right now, and hunting for more is Andres Perez. He has been on a mission since the drop of the green. I talked to Glenn Parker, his crew chief, just a couple moments ago, and I asked him, was this the plan the whole time? He said once we went to the back, There was no other plan but attack mode, and that's exactly what Andreas is doing, trying to get by the 23. Trevor, how exciting is that as a driver when you get the call from the crew chief, go get him, buddy?
Well, that's fun. The only thing more fun than that's when they say, hey, why don't you ride a little bit? You're checked out too much. But for Andres Perez, I'm about called him Nick Sanchez. I'm so used to Nick being in that 2 car as well. He did a great job in it previously. But for Andres to make all these passes, he's just building confidence every lap because he knows he's on the attack. It is harder on your brakes. You got to take care of those. You see him sliding the car around pretty heavy right there. He knows that there's a brake and he's going to get tires. But your brake package, if you cook those things too much, they do not come back to life. I don't care how long of a brake you have at the halfway point. And we talked about the 23 car. You see the front valence flapping a lot there. That's from these curbs. We talked about how aggressive they are. He has ripped that bumper support out, so now that's flapping. Also heard Blake Bainbridge's name. That was a crew chief of mine. We won a Hooters Pro Cup race together a long time ago, so a great crew chief on that 23 car.
Yeah, and Daniel Dye's crew chief right now in the midst of the playoffs for the Truck Series. We'll see next week at Bristol.
That was a great battle between the 2 and 23, but Andres Perez on the move, but it's all about Connor Zilisch. He's led all the laps so far, working his way to the bus stop. 16 laps in the books, 25 to go here from Watkins Glen. Well, it's been all about Connor Zilisch. He has led every lap so far, and in the break, Trevor, you guys were watching his onboard and his shifting and what he's got going on right now.
Yeah, well, Phil and I were laughing because we said they shouldn't even look at this car during the break. It's so fast right now. But there is a little bit of a weakness in this car. We just saw it on his in-car camera. And coming down into the bus stop on this, during the caution, you're going to hear right here a lot of wheel hop. Check this out. So as he gets on the brakes, you hear that bouncing noise, that vibration, and that's just the rear having more brake load, more drivetrain load than the fronts. And it's so easy to, when you push your car, right now he's kind of riding, he's not being challenged by anybody, and he's still experiencing that wheel hop. We also saw it in practice. So as a driver, a couple things you can do there. You can change your brake bias, you can dial some front brake to it, you can time your downshifts a little bit later in the corner, or you can use less brake pressure and match that with the RPM. But I think there's something he needs to do there to adjust that. If he gets challenged, that could be an issue for this race car.
And Trevor, I was just listening in on the radio, and Connor Zilisch just told his team that he is a little tight in those slow right-handers, and they told him exactly what you just said, play with the brake bias to help. And I checked in with Shane, and he said that's exactly what he just reported to the team.
Meanwhile, he's extended his lead by, well, 15 seconds now over William Sawalich.
Well, and to Heather's point there, that might be why he had that wheel hop. So if you're tight, you want to put more rear brake to the car to try to free it up. And he might have went a little bit far on that adjustment and started bouncing the rear. So he'll probably find the sweet spot, dial some front brake back to it, and give up a little balance to not risk wheel hopping into the corner.
Yeah, that wheel hop is really hard on the rear suspension of these cars, on the trailing arms and things like that. So that's not something that you want a regular dose of.
That's his crew chief, Shane Huffman, on the right-hand side, listening to his driver, knowing, looking at our pictures, saying, okay, this is what we're going to do at the break that's coming up, by the way, around lap 21.
Well, this is going to take us down a rabbit hole a little bit, but you think back for years, and even now to SVG, a lot of these drivers that are road racers do heel-toe method, right? They are really good at using their right foot to brake. They use their heel on the throttle and their left foot to clutch. Drivers now, and myself included, we brake with our left foot and we just match RPM with the right foot. We don't touch the clutch pedal. But that's what made those heel-toe drivers so good. They could push the clutch in and limit that wheel hop. That's how SVG, how Marcus Ambrose, that's how all those guys have been so good. I'm sure that Connor has had some exposure to that. I don't know exactly what he's doing right now, but that is something else you can utilize, is that clutch pedal to match those RPM and slow down that wheel hop as well.
Because Jamie had mentioned all the different kinds of cars, there are certain cars that he probably can't only use his left foot like we talk about. He has to heel and toe it on some certain kind of cars.
Perhaps we just saw our first Reese's Sweet Move of the race nominee. Thomas Annunziata in the 44, Gio Ruggiero in the 20. Wow! Christopher Worth a little slow on the track as they try to get around. Remember, visit ARCARacing.com Monday at 3 Eastern to see who will get the Reese's Sweet Move of the race. That's the first one so far, but we can't call it too soon because just wait till the last
Listen,
lap.
Jamie, I've eaten a lot of Reese's, and none of them have been bittersweet. But that move there was tracking into that territory. I don't know if that was sweet or bittersweet.
I think if this race goes as it's going now, as we see teammates now battling, LeVar Scott in the 6th, Andres Perez in the 2 battling for 6th. If it goes like it, then the fact that the 28 car came to Watkins Glen would be a sweet move. I think if he continues to dominate like he has this entire day, as Perez gets to the inside of his teammate LeVar Scott.
Perez on the move, 19 positions gained. A little bit slower, a little bit harder to get around these guys running in the top 10.
He knows we're going to have a break here pretty soon, and he's going to start so much closer to the front than he did at the initial start when he had to start at the back.
Well, before we dropped the green flag, we saw trouble for Amber Balkan. She is out of the race, didn't even turn a single lap, Mamba.
That's right, Jamie. Here with Amber Balkan. Amber, you had issue in qualifying. Thought you got it fixed with the transmission change. What happened there did not allow you to start this race?
Yeah, I think we thought it was the transmission, but we're just unable to diagnose what the issue is. We're not totally sure. It still wouldn't go into gear, but I want to thank the Venturini guys for busting their butts to try to fix that for me. Obviously, pretty upset we don't get to bring out the Icon Direct Toyota onto the track and have some fun today, but just thanks again to my guys for working their butts off to try to get it fixed up.
Amber Balkan taking the whole day in stride, guys.
Not easy. So many people around you, so much effort to get to this point, to get to the racetrack in New York and not even be able to turn a lap. That's frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. 6th in points coming into this race as well. See the 71 of Christopher Worth there, just being passed by LeVar Scott.
And 99 had spun in front of him, and he goes around.
Yep, gets on the brakes. That transition.
And he was a little wide too because he was leaving room for LeVar Scott to go by on the inside. Maybe a little dirtier up there where he was than the inside of the racetrack, closer to the rumble strips.
Connor Zilisch leads, William Sawalich, Brandon Jones, Thomas Annunziata, Gio Ruggiero, your top 5, and the caution is out. This is the break at lap 22. So drivers can get it fixed up, make those changes, get their fuel. One and done here, Phil, unless you have a major issue later, but this will be your one and only pit stop.
And this is when William Sawalich comes up. Oh, so there's that 28 car. I haven't seen him in a while.
Well-deserved drink by Connor Zilisch right there.
Yeah, look at that front bumper. That Valence is having a blast.
Is he laughing at you, Trevor? Welcome back to the ARCA Menards series live from Watkins Glen, New York. As you see, our scheduled break is just beginning. Teams are waiting for their moment to go over the wall. They'll have 5 minutes to work on the race cars. As you see there, max 4 crew members allowed over the wall.
Yeah, controlled caution here, so these teams do not have to have high-dollar pit crew members that we talk about all the time on the weekends. But it's a great move by the ARCA series to try to save these teams some money. They have to wait till the ARCA officials release them. They have to wait till the very last car comes down pit road, and then they're able to go to work, Heather.
And for Connor Zilisch, absolutely dominating this race so far, led all 21 laps. He is happy with that car. As I mentioned, he's just a little bit too free in the right-hander, so they're going to make just a slight adjustment on the 28 for Connor Zilisch. Mamba?
William Sawalich in this 18 group, they're running strong in second place. William reports he's just a little snug, both on the left-handers and the right-handers. Matt Ross and company going to work trying to free him up to give him more field that he's looking for. Matt is very proud of this road course program that they've built. Heather?
And for Brandon Jones, he's utilizing this race to prepare for Xfinity coming up later this weekend. He's told me he's just one of those drivers that takes a little bit longer to get into a rhythm on the road courses, so he's hoping this speeds up that process for him. But as far as the handling goes, he said he's freeing up as the run goes, and then late in the run, he gets tight. So a little bit of a mixed bag there on handling for Brandon Jones, but the team going to work to make some adjustments for him. Mamba?
Andreas Perez putting on a clinic here at Watkins Glen. He reports that on the right-handers, it feels like he's having low fuel pressure. I'm wondering if that has to do with the elevation change, but he also says he's having so much fun driving through the field. Jamie?
Yeah, I bet it was fun. Up 20 positions, the car's clean, looks good. See if they make some good adjustments here. He can race his way up well inside the top 5. So the question is, who gets it right? Who gets it wrong? And does anybody have anything for Connor Zilisch?
I don't see anybody challenging Connor Zilisch, but I think we could, as you mentioned, if people make the right moves and the right changes, then we could have a great battle behind him, but he is so dominant right now.
Well, their best hope is a late race restart, and then you go down into turn 1 and you just swing for the fences, and you hope you can be on defense for the rest of it. That's really your hope right now with Connor Zilisch. He's so fast once they get singled out. I'm with you, Phil. I don't see anybody that has any speed for him at all.
We had a 15-second lead, but we didn't have a caution for the first half of the race, so we didn't have a chance to bunch them up. So we're going to have that after this break. We have 20 laps to go from Watkins Glen. We have a story developing here for Tony Breidinger, and the 25 team came in for tires and adjustments. They also changed the driver. Tony Breidinger out, standing on pit road. What's happening, Mamba?
I'm here with Tony. She just stepped out of her 25 Toyota. Tony, we see you got the cart here. I knew you were running with a boot. What's going on?
Yeah, I just got an injury recently, and that was the toughest decision I've had to make. Yeah, that was awful. I told him, I was like, Caden, decide, and you have to do it yourself. And dang, that was honestly the hardest decision I've ever made. I mean, just never thought I'd have to pull myself out of a race, but I know Caden will finish it off well.
Do you think that we'll see you at the next one?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just did this keeping like long-term in mind. I don't want to really mess up my foot to where I'm out for the rest of the season, so just trying to keep all that in mind.
We'll see you at the next one. Thank you, Tony.
So Tony Breidinger talking about her left foot and the injury. She had a pretty substantial burn on it, and she's been fighting through it. She decided to get out of the car. It's not healing as quickly as she had hoped. Now, they mentioned Caden Lapsevich. That's her crew chief, got off the box and into the race car. And this isn't anybody's crew chief. He's actually a driver.
He is, yeah. He's actually a former champion of the NASCAR Pinty Series. His younger brother, Drayton Lapsevich, now runs the Cars Tour as a winner this year in the Cars Tour. He won the championship in the NASCAR Canada Series last year. So very accomplished racers. And they, you know, the Pinty Series runs a lot of road courses. So I'm sure that Caden has a lot of experience on road courses. So this is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And during that break, we saw Amber Balkin there talking to Tony Breidinger, and I wondered, why not put Amber in the car, right? There was this opportunity. She's out of the race to put her in the car, but they've obviously had this talked about. This has been planned for Caden to be the one to get in the car. I saw this happening, and it made me question it a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously they didn't know before the race, when there was a plan of possibly Tony getting out, that Amber was going to have the problem that she had. So I'm sure they had a plan. They stuck with it.
That's right.
Tough day for these two women, both running full-time in the ARCA Menards series, trying to gain some points here today, and it's just not what's in the cards. So now we see what Caden Lapsevich can pull out here as he just jumps off the pit box and straight into the driver's seat.
And remember, Tony will get the points because she started. So wherever Caden ends up finishing, Tony will get the points for that.
You hear drivers say it, though. That is the hardest thing to do, is to get out of a race car. I mean, the things that you guys will race with, the sicknesses, illnesses, breaks, that you don't even talk about because you don't want this situation.
In 20-some years, I never got out of a car.
Well, I'm sure Tony has people around here, wise counsel, that have the foresight to say, hey, this is best for you, and so she's going to take that advice and heed that warning there.
Well, guys, we're going to get our first restart of the day. Connor Zilisch, William Sawalich, once again side by side on the front row. Everybody was able to make some adjustments, try to make their race cars a little bit better. Reminder that Connor Zilisch has led every lap so far as they barreled down the hill into turn 1. Side by side they go.
William Sawalich able to hang on for a little while there on the outside, but Connor Zilisch has got the preferred line into the first part of the S's. Going to clear Sawalich now for the left-hander.
Very reminiscent of the initial start to this race.
There goes your opportunity.
Good racing back behind them, though. Look at side by side, a couple rows back.
Connor Zilisch just has this place figured out, but you're right. Look at this, nose to tail, great racing all around. And one of the stories we talked about, Phil, is how stacked this field was. Just the road course racers, the youngsters that are so good here.
Andres Perez was able to grab that 5th spot from Gio Ruggiero.
Well, and he's learned how to pass. He knows where the zones are, where his car's good at, how much he can challenge braking zones. And one thing I've seen him do really well is what we're seeing the 29 car do right there. You want to pull out a line and get him looking in the mirror. Check him out here working the rear bumper of the 44. Thomas Annunziato.
I saw Conor Mosak's balance was still shaking, so they obviously didn't screw that thing back down.
Talked about the 29 running 9th right now, Ryan Gemmel. He's our Bounty Rookie Spotlight, making his debut, racing for Joe Nemechek, doing a nice job today.
Certainly is. How about Andres Perez trying to grab another spot from Annunziato? There they are side by side. Annunziato's going to get the edge coming up off the top of the S's.
And that turn 1 exit is so enticing to try to make a pass, but it just does not work majority of the time because of being on the wrong side of the S's. It's so hard to complete that pass.
Thomas Annunziata in that blue and white, number 44. Background is road course racing. Grew up racing against Connor Zilisch. How about that? We have another Reese's Sweet Move of the Race nominee.
Yeah, the fact that they made it side by side through part of the S's is a pretty good move. And Annunziato gets the edge as Perez was trying to grab that 4th spot.
Perez has been on the march, but be sure to tune in to ARCARacing.com on Monday, 3 Eastern, to see who is crowned the Reese's Sweet Move of the race. I'll tell you right now, if anybody can stop Connor and win this race, that will be the Reese's Sweet Move of the race.
Without a doubt, a little bit of wheel hop there, a little bit of a wiggle on the 44, getting down in turn 1.
Yeah, very defensive line. You saw him 2 lanes down trying to block the 2 car. Andres Perez, he knows how good he is in that braking zone. But being offline like that will only last so long before you make your tires mad, and Perez is going to get the best of him here at some point.
17 laps to go. Zilisch just with a 2.5 lead over William Sawalich. So Sawalich doing a better job keeping him in his sights.
Could have been some changes that Matt Ross made on that 18 of Sawalich. As this battle continues, we talked about his debut at Daytona earlier this year, ran 2nd, and then was fighting for the lead at Mid-Ohio and got moved out of the way. Still end up with a 4th place finish. Almost a late dive by Perez there at the last second.
Perez doing all he can to try to get around Annunziata and take over that 4th spot.
You know, Trevor, you talked a little bit about Connor Zilisch and the fact that, and how the heel and toe braking and things like that. And I know when we would race back in the day against road racers, maybe a Ron Fellows or a Boris said, we were always amazed at their braking ability. As Perez gets to the inside of Annunziato.
Look at the aggression.
Close the door. Annunziato being very defensive here.
But I think it's that same situation with Connor Zilisch, is so good in the braking areas.
That's the difference for these road racers. They know how to maximize those areas, and then they keep their roll speed very high. They're able to stay on line and release brake without having lockup. They just know how to maximize those corners very well. But what's wild is they can come to an oval, and it's a totally different mentality of how to approach those corners. So you need a little bit of both now to succeed in NASCAR. That's what Connor Zilisch seems to be showing.
Andres Perez using up every inch of that racetrack, trying to make up ground and get around the 44. Meanwhile, it's Connor Zilisch out front. Welcome back to Watkins Glen. Jamie Little, Phil Parsons, Trevor Bain, Heather DeBow, and Mamba Smith on pit road. Glad you're joining us on this Friday evening. Connor Zilisch continues to check out by 5 seconds at this point. It's a good opportunity to take a look at the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race report. Connor Zilisch started from the pole for the first time in his ARCA Menards Series career. And he hasn't looked back. He has been pretty much flawless all day long.
Yeah, you see two different leaders in a lead change because William Sawalich actually just edged him at the start-finish line on that restart, and then we obviously watched Zilisch get the lead back through turn 1 and 2.
So Zilisch credited with leading 27 laps, Sawalich leading that 1 lap because of that restart.
We see one caution down there, and that's thanks to the fact that most of this track with its runoffs is paved now. Used to, we had sand traps and cars would get stuck and not able to continue running. We've had a few cars spin out, but they've been able to continue on, not be stuck in any kind of gravel or sand and go on. So only the stage break caution there, which is great.
You see on the hood of that race car right there, and on the back and the side, it says Silver Hair Racing. That's a development team in the TA2 series for Chevrolet. That's where Connor Zilisch came from. He gives them so much credit, that family, for helping him get to this point. So they are hiring, looking for drivers for next year's program, but certainly this young man always very thankful to those who helped him get here.
Phil, don't they have multiple drivers in those cars? What do you think, buddy? You want to go run some?
They're looking for young drivers. They're looking for young drivers.
Okay.
And you still qualify for that.
Trevor, your window is still open.
Is it open? Okay.
Mine is closed. Mine's locked.
We love when Trevor's racing. I love interviewing you on pit road. You're just,
that's fun.
Well, when you do TV, you understand kind of what we need and what we're looking for. So it helps make our lives much easier.
Yeah, this is one of the racetracks that gives me the itch to race still. Watkins Glen was such a fun place to go, fun place to race. It's NASCAR's version of a road course, I always call it. You've got the high-speed element to it.
Super speedway road course.
Yeah, it's super speedway road course, that's right.
Where Sonoma, for years we ran Watkins Glen Sonoma. Sonoma was so much more technical than Watkins Glen.
You're saying I like Watkins Glen because it's not technical? That makes sense, Phil. I understand now.
See Brandon Jones in the 42. Just getting warmed up for his Xfinity Series race tomorrow.
It's been a solid day for Brandon. This is Bruce Cook owned and led team.
He has a teammate this weekend in Marco Andretti.
Well, and obviously he'd love to win this race. I mean, anytime you're in the car, you want to win, but it's doing its job. He's learning the racetrack, the changes. He said he wanted to store that knowledge in the bank for tomorrow in the Xfinity race. You know, and so any laps around this place in any kind of car is so good. And I guarantee you'll see him fire off tomorrow in practice better because he's been in a car already this weekend.
And to that point, I'm really curious to see how Connor Zilisch does, making his debut in Xfinity tomorrow. So he just got to focus on the ARCA Menards Series race today. Tomorrow, take that hat off and really focus. But he already has laps around here.
Yeah, and we saw what he was able to do at COTA when he jumped in the truck for the first time. So I look for Zilisch to be extremely strong tomorrow.
Well, and if you're going to get out of an ARCA car and get in any other type of car, the Xfinity Series car is going to be the most comparable, even over a truck somewhat. So the shifting patterns, all those things are very similar. He'll be just fine in that Xfinity car tomorrow.
Hey, this is the battle that won't go away. This has been fantastic.
I think as long as Perez doesn't overdrive the corner, he's got this spot.
Beautiful pass right there. Andres Perez to the 4th spot. Thomas Annunziata moves back to 5th.
It's so easy. I mentioned overdriving turn 1. It is so easy to do that. We saw earlier Connor Zilisch, how he can wheel hop getting down to the corners, and that's a real area that's really prone to that wheel hop getting down in turn 1.
Yeah, it's a weird timing down there of when to release those brakes. You don't want to do it too soon where you miss the corner, but if you hold them too long, you can wheel hop, walk up a right front tire, all kinds of issues.
And we talked about it's a high-speed straightaway leading into that corner and a hard braking area.
Downhill,
and
right?
Downhill, exactly.
Well, that was probably the best pass we have seen today, and it's a good nominee for the Reese's Sweet move right here. Andres Perez, Thomas Annunziata working on each other lap after lap, and Perez gets it. A nice, clean pass. And he takes over the 4th spot. Remember on Monday to visit arcaracing.com to see who takes home the crown for Reese's Sweet move of the race.
That was the most difficult pass for Andres Perez. He's passed about 30 cars so far from the back to the front. Moving forward, you see the 32 go around on the bus stop as well. Christian Rose.
That's an area that you talked about. Used to have a gravel trap outside of this area. You see him got a little bit loose getting in the corner. That would have been gravel. That car would have been stuck, and the caution would have come out. So kudos to the track officials in NASCAR for paving those areas.
Christian Rose was running 16th at the time of that incident. 9 laps to go from Watkins Glen. Can Connor Zilisch hang on and take home another win? Tune in tonight after the race. Well, we've talked a lot about Thomas Annunziata in the 44. He was running 5th, now down in 9th. We'll show what happened to him when we were in break.
Yeah, Jamie, in the bus stop that we talked about how difficult it is to get in there, if you miss it, you have to come to a complete stop, which we see the 44 car do. Gets to a stop, now he's going to take off again and blends back in. Phil, you raced here before the bus stop existed, right? You went straight through there?
The first several years that we raced here, we went straight down that straightaway, and we got to going so fast down there into the carousel. I remember Jeff Bodine one time exploded a brake rotor, and that car never stopped, and it stuck in the fence through all this, the tire barrier and everything. So NASCAR decided to put the bus stop in, slow cars down before they got down to the carousel. A great move, I think.
Heather, let's get an update on
and
Thomas.
to add to what you guys are to add to what you guys were saying there, Jamie, Thomas actually told me today the most challenging part of this racetrack for him is the bus stop, because in other series that he's ran here before, they run the boot. So that could have been what led to the issue there for him missing that portion of the track. But he said he really likes this racetrack. The team just now telling him, get up on the wheel, bud. You still have top 5 lap times, so go get him.
I've been watching the scoring monitor ever since he stopped there in the bus stop. He has been top 5 lap times, so he has a few positions in front of him that right there that he might be able to get here with 5 laps to go.
Well, talking about this racetrack and the way that it was built, it was an F1 track, and there's a lot of history here. It was founded in 1948, became a permanent road course in 1956. Well, then you bring stock cars here, it's a little bit fast, so they added that bus stop in there. You hear us talk about the inner loop or the bus stop, and that's for the stock cars. Different series, all different series still race here, and they use different configurations.
44 trying to get inside of Gimmel through the bus stop while they were negotiating the slow car as well.
Ryan Gimmel in the yellow and black doing a great job in the 29 for Joe Nemechek. Was an intern there, got his chance here tonight to see what he can do. He's been top 10, dropping the green flag.
Trying to get inside LeVar Scott. Watch, he's going to lose his momentum. That's going to allow the 44 of Annunziata to get inside him.
This is for 8th. Drag race all the way down that hill into turn 1, and he gets it. Annunziata to 8th. Sideways.
He is on it, trying to grab some of these positions back. He has that one, going after LeVar Scott now.
You're not missing anything up front. Connor Zilisch continues to lead 10 seconds over William Sawalich. It's a man on a mission right here. Thomas Annunziata now working on LeVar Scott.
See the 25 here. Backup driver and crew chief, Kaden Lapkovich in the car. Actually making really good lap times. Tony Breidinger was running decent lap times there, around 78 seconds. 78.70 was one of her better laps, and Kaden's actually running some 77.60s now, so picked up a little bit with him in the car, and I'm sure Tony was struggling through some injury pain there and trying to manage that, but putting this driver in, they're obviously making some good speed.
Yeah, unfortunately a lap down back in the 17th position.
Tony, you could see the heartbreak having to make that decision to get out of the race car and watch somebody else behind the wheel, and it to be your crew chief of all people. But Phil, as you mentioned, she will get the point, so whatever positions he can hang on to, if he can pick up a spot. Right now, Kaden Lapkovich back in the 17th spot, a lap down.
They're going to have a pretty productive post-race meeting. The crew chief will know exactly what Tony was fighting in her vehicle. I can promise you that.
Very unique meeting.
Yeah, Tony, I know exactly what you mean when you say that the car drove this way.
My brother obviously ran ARCA back in the day, and he was a champion back in 1968, 1969. And one of those years, I think it was 1969, they had a 500-lap race at Salem, Indiana. Now, we do the ARCA series at Salem, Indiana. We know how hard that is, a 500-lap race. And Benny got out of the car, and his crew chief, Ralph Young, same situation, got in the car and relief drove for him. Ralph was also an accomplished racer as well.
I like my crew chiefs, Phil, but I don't think I wanted any of them to take over my seat at any point.
Well, Tony said when Mamba asked her, you know, are you going to be back at the next race? She said, oh, yeah, no doubt. The next race is next Thursday. We don't have a lot of time. It's a short week for these teams.
Well, and it's Bristol, which is a high-load racetrack, a grinder.
Just like that, Connor Zilisch in the 28. He'll see the white flag.
Right now, he's hoping that's the only flag he sees is the white flag and then the checkered flag, not a caution flag. Remember, in the ARCA Menards series, if we get a caution on the last lap, we will have a restart.
One attempt at a restart if that is the case. But remember, last year, about this moment, I believe actually it was 2 laps to go in the race. The caution came out. He was leading, and we know how it ended. He did not win.
We don't have to remind him, I don't think. And you know, the thing is, and it's going to be great if he can hold on, caution doesn't come out and he wins this race. It's going to be redemption of some sort, but he'll never get that one from last year back. You know, there's always going to be that void about that first one that got away.
Yeah, he won't be thinking about that victory lane, though. I can promise you, tonight at least, he'll feel that redemption. And knowing tomorrow he's going to get in that Xfinity car. Shane Huffman, actually a former driver of Junior Motorsports. I'm sure he's going to hang around probably with Connor to watch him in that debut tomorrow. I really look forward to watching this as a fan. I mean, really, it's not often you see a driver making his start that you know is going to be having an impact on the sport for a long time to come.
And I became a believer for that Coda truck race when he set a new track record and then was so fast, got a couple laps down, fought his way back, got them both back, and ended up with a top 5 finish.
Well, everything this young man touches seems to turn to gold and a trophy. Connor Zilisch, he has just been flawless today. For the 5th time this season, checkered flag goes to Connor Zilisch as he wins at Watkins Glen. You just can't say enough great things about this young man. Shane Huffman, what he's able to do, the cars he's able to give him.
Yeah, and Connor's got it all. Every interview I watch of this young man, his representation of himself in the car, out of the car, he's got what it takes.
See, his helmet says, gives you wings. I think he had him before he put that Red Bull helmet on. We'll hear from the winner on the backside. Stay with us, more to come. ARCA Menards Series Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. And what a burnout. Enjoying every minute. And he parks it right there on the start-finish line. Connor Zilisch, 18 years old from Mooresville, North Carolina, picks up his 5th win this season in just 6 starts. Mamba, you're with the happy winner.
I am with the winner from the Glen, Connor Zilisch. Connor, they say Red Bull gives you wings. Well, you were flying today, my friend.
Yeah, no, this is a cool one. My first race with Red Bull on my helmet, and you know, this Pinnacle Racing Group team, man, they've worked hard, and this was one that we wanted this year. We've worked really hard to bring a fast car to these road courses, and it means a lot to get redemption on our 2nd place finish last year.
You talk about that redemption. I know you can't get it back, but just talk about how great this car was getting it today.
Yeah, it makes my job easy, right? Every time I show up to the track, these guys bring me a fast car, and I can count on them. So it's been a lot of fun this year. You know, I'm super proud of everyone a part of this team. I got a big day tomorrow making my Xfinity debut. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, thank you to everyone from Silver Hair Racing as well for all their support. Everyone who supports me, Trackhouse Racing, and you know, makes this possible. It's truly a blessing to be here, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Connor Zilisch does it again in the ARCA Menards Series. Your winner here at the Glen.
And William Sawalich brings it home 2nd. So, William, you had a fast car today, but what were you lacking, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I could stick with him on restarts in turn 1. That's about it. He had a really fast car, but we had a good Toyota Sound Gear Camry today. So really proud of the guys. I mean, we brought it home in one piece, and I had a lot of fun today. I think just second place car overall.
We're going from a road course to a short track next week. So how do you feel going into Bristol, as that is the championship race for the East Series?
Yeah, I mean, really good. We won the race there last year. I don't know if we can come out with the championship, but just looking for a good race there and a good finish.
Thanks, William.
Well, they qualified 1-2, and that's where they ran all race long. You talked about it, Phil. We set this up at the start of the show.
You can see these guys, what an amazing job. 12 wins between them here in the series. And how about Connor Zilisch? 6 starts, 5 wins, and the other one was a second-place finish. And they will battle it out next week at Bristol for the ARCA East Championship, another championship that takes some of these races that are combination races and puts them together with other races to form a championship.
Thing that stands out to me about Connor Zilisch in his interview, he thanked about 3 or 4 race teams. The amount of support this young guy has, how many different brands. You think about Red Bull, you think about Chevrolet and the way that they're using him, pushing him. He actually coaches a lot of drivers that are in series above him in road racing. And so just the belief of Trackhouse Racing, Justin Marks, you saw the picture with Scott Speed and SVG, Josh Wise working with this young man. He has so much support around him, the sky is the limit.
I'm really curious to see how he does tomorrow in his debut for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, there's another race team, JRM, so how many can you add to the list?
You got Dale Jr., Justin Marks. Who else do you want helping you out? I mean, but you hear him talk.
Motorsports, he races trucks for Spire Motorsports, has several more races lined up for them.
He speaks like a 40-year-old man, just so well-spoken, doesn't forget where he comes from. He's so humble, so deserving, and obviously he's just one of the best talents we've seen come up through this series.
Yeah, those are the kind of people you like to see have success, and he's certainly having a lot of that right now.
Well, stay tuned for Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour that's coming up at 7 Eastern. NHRA qualifying from Reading is next. We talked about the ARCA Menards Series next Thursday. Be sure to tune in 5 Eastern on FS1. It's the final race in the ARCA East. For all of us here at Fox Sports, I'm Jamie Little. Thanks for watching. Congratulations, Connor Zilisch.